Let's talk about cybersecurity for a second. When you think about hackers, you probably picture them trying to get into your customer database, right? Or maybe your sales platform. But what if I told you the single most valuable and most vulnerable target in your entire company is the one piece of software you probably never even think about? Okay, let's get into it.
No, really, just think about it for a moment. If a hacker could only breach one system in your whole organization, which one would be the absolute jackpot for them? Which one holds the real keys to the kingdom?
I'll give you a hint. It's probably not the flashy customer-facing stuff. Nope, it's the quiet, behind-the-scenes engine that's just humming along in the background. You know, the one that if it goes down, your entire business grinds to a screeching halt.
That's right, we are talking about your Accounting Information System, or AIS. The research we're breaking down today calls this the most critical part of any enterprise. And it's not just about balancing the books. This is the system that manages the financial information you are required by law to maintain. It's literally what makes you a legitimate business.
So, what exactly is an AIS? Well, think of it as the central nervous system for your company's money. It takes in all the raw data, every sale, every invoice, every single paycheck, and it transforms that chaos into the official structured financial information you need to run the business and report out to investors, the government, you name it.
And this thing is incredibly complex. It's not just one program. It's a whole bunch of interconnected cycles. You've got the revenue cycle, tracking every dollar that comes in. The expenditure cycle, tracking every dollar that goes out. Then you've got payroll, production, financing, the whole shebang. Each one is a crucial chapter in your company's financial story.
Okay, so because this system is so critical, so valuable, and holds all this legally sensitive data, it's also a massive, massive target for attackers. If your AIS is the fortress holding the crown jewels, then you better believe there are armies camped outside just waiting for a chance to get in.
And this isn't just a hunch. The research is crystal clear on this. Accounting firms and financial institutions have a giant bullseye on their backs. It's simple, really. Attackers go where the money is, and these systems are the vault. And if you want a really chilling, real-world example, just look at what happened in 2019. A huge company that provides accounting software to thousands of firms, we're talking including nearly all of the Fortune 500, got hit. A cyber attack took their services completely offline. It was a massive wake-up call for the entire industry. Just look at the top internet crimes reported to the FBI. Non-payment scams, extortion, data breaches. These aren't some abstract threats. These are exactly the kinds of attacks that are made possible by getting inside a company's financial systems. They're tailor-made for targeting an AIS.
So, the big question is, how on earth do we defend against all this? Well, the research paper we're digging into today proposes a really powerful way to think about it. It's a concept they call the attack surface.
Let's go back to our fortress metaphor. Your attack surface is basically every single possible way an attacker could try to get in or out. Every door, every window, every forgotten tunnel, every API call, every single potential point of entry. It's the total sum of your vulnerabilities.
And the core idea here is incredibly simple, right? It's just intuitive. A fortress that has 1,000 doors and windows is just way, way harder to defend than one with a single, heavily guarded gate. The more complex your system is, the more entry points it has, the bigger your attack surface, and the more insecure you are, period. And this comparison just lays it out perfectly. On one hand, you have a small attack surface. It's simpler, cleaner, and a heck of a lot easier to secure. On the other hand, you have a large attack surface with tons of code and all these different integrations, and that's just a security nightmare. The goal is always, always to make that surface area as small as possible.
But here's where things get even trickier in the real world. Our fortress, our AIs, it doesn't just stand alone on a hill anymore. Now it's more like the capital city inside a much larger interconnected kingdom.
See, in today's digital world, your accounting software isn't some isolated island. No way. It has to talk to everything. It's constantly pushing and pulling data from a huge web of other apps and platforms. We're talking about cloud services where your data lives, big data platforms that crunch the numbers, your ERP modules, those web payment apps, shared databases, the list just goes on. And every single one of those connections is another potential door into the main fortress. This whole tangled web of connections actually has a name. It's called a system of systems, or SOS for short. It's what happens when you link a bunch of separate, independent systems together to create something bigger and more powerful.
The problem is, while you're adding all this cool new functionality, you are also dramatically complicating your security.
And when you're dealing with a system of systems, the research says you have to start thinking about risk in a whole new way. It's not just about one system anymore. You have to ask, how deeply connected are all these things? How easily could a hack in one tiny, seemingly harmless app spread like wildfire to the crown jewels? And, this is the scary one, could an attack trigger a catastrophic chain reaction, a cascading failure that brings the whole kingdom down?
So, all of this points to a new, more holistic way of thinking about security. It's no longer about just defending one fortress. It's about defending the entire kingdom.
So, the single most important takeaway here is this. If you are only focused on locking down your accounting software, you are completely missing the point. A tiny vulnerability in your payment app or your cloud storage could be the one unguarded backdoor that leads an attacker straight to your financial core.
So what can you actually do? Well, the paper gives us 3 really clear recommendations. First, you have to look at your security holistically, across the entire system of systems. Second, and this one might surprise you, sometimes tighter integration is actually better. A single, well-designed, integrated system can have fewer entry points, a smaller attack surface, than a bunch of separate systems that are all loosely patched together. And third, you have to actually apply this attack surface method to map out and measure where your real risks are.
And that's really the question we want to leave you with. It's a question every single business leader needs to be asking themselves right now. It's not a matter of if someone will try to get in, but when and where. By understanding your total attack surface, you can finally start to see your defenses the way an attacker does, and you can finally figure out just how many unguarded doors your digital kingdom really has.